Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? It's around noon, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm kind of anticipating that as an audience, you may have a lot of questions for our panel today, so we definitely want to get started so we have time for that. So I just want to start by introducing myself. My name is Krista Curtis, and I'm the new incoming president for the board of directors for the Greater Ellettsville Area Chamber of Commerce. So this is my new gig, and the panel is one of the first things that I'm officially doing. I think I ran my first board meeting last week, so this is my second official duty, but I'm really happy to be here. As an organization, a really important part of what we do as a chamber is making sure that we're being advocates for our members, for the voice of business in the community. And we felt it was really important to bring these experts to our local businesses so you can really think about what's going to be happening. And I just got to say, I think it's kind of ironic that we're all here in our snow boots and our sweaters and our mittens and our hats, and yet we're going to be talking about the power of the sun and the impact on our community. So just a little bit of background here. In just a few short weeks, North America will experience a solar eclipse. I think you probably all know that. This total eclipse is the last one to touch North America until March of 2033. But in 2033, it will only be visible in the state of Alaska. So unless you're planning to go to Alaska, this may be your only chance to see a solar eclipse for a very, very, very long time. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of interest and attention on this upcoming solar eclipse. This event may be the single biggest mass travel event in the United States. For many people in North America, this will likely be one of the easiest times to see a solar eclipse in their lifetime. So some of this attention is going to be focused right here on our community in Ellettsville, because Ellettsville and Monroe County will be in the path of totality for this April 8th eclipse. So as a result, we can expect thousands of visitors. That number's probably higher than I'm even throwing out. There are going to be a lot of people in our community on and around April 8th. So this is both exciting and a little daunting. And our panelists today are here to share how this event is going to impact Monroe County and Ellettsville specifically, but from their seat as in their areas of expertise. They're going to talk to us a little bit about what they're doing to help the community prepare for this event. And then our goal would be that you're able to pick up tips and we have time for you to ask your questions of our panel. So that is how it's going to go down today. So what I would like to do first is ask each panel member to introduce themselves, tell you who they are and what organization they're representing. So we'll start at this end. Mike Farmer, you want to go first?
Sure. My name's Michael Farmer. I'm town manager of Ellettsville and a founding member of the UFO Club. So just wanted to get that out there, and we will be active.
Are you going to share the connection between the solar eclipse and the UFO Club, or is
well, there's a point to be made that the aliens hide behind the glare of the sun.
Thanks, Mike. Zach?
I'm Zach Michael. I'm the detective lieutenant with the Ellettsville Police Department, and I will be the person in charge from the PD side of things for this event.
Jamie Nebel. I'm the director of the Emergency Management Agency for the county.
Great.
Hello, I'm Chris Klaus, Deputy Fire Chief, Ellettsville Fire Department. I'll be handling emergency operations for the solar eclipse coming up.
I'm Mike Kornman with Indiana University Health, South Central Region. I'm with the Emergency Management. I'll be serving as a liaison to the different various command posts that are set up during the eclipse.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike McAfee. I'm the Executive Director at the Convention and Visitor Bureau for Monroe County. We do business as Visit Bloomington. It's our job to promote the county to tourists. This is an instance where we're actually just trying to share information so that people have a safe, good experience while they're here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're very pleased to have you all. So what I would like to ask you to do next is talk a little bit about what your focus is. What are preparations you're making on behalf of the organization that you're involved in? So again, Mike, we'll start with you. What's your focus right now as you're preparing for this event?
Well, for me, my focus is we have professionals in the police, fire, and then, of course, we have the county emergency management. And so the logistics of it all, I'm going to leave to the professionals. My focus is to support them and maybe organize the rest of the department heads and follow suit in whatever they recommend. So I'm truly going to be in a support role.
Great. Before we go further, I saw from the back of the room we're having trouble with people hearing. Everybody, me, and everybody. Man, I've never had anyone tell me I'm not loud, I've got to tell you.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, so let's make sure we're talking into the mics so people can hear us. So, Zach, how are you preparing?
Can you guys hear me? Yes, okay. So from the police department side, our biggest challenge right now is making sure that we're properly staffed. Chris and I have been working, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but we have been working on the town's overall plan from the public safety perspective. So from the police department side, we are simply going to have a lot of guys here those days. The day of the event, we will be very well staffed in our minds. Still might not quite be as adequate as we hope or we need it to be, but we are going to have a lot of people here. The days preceding, we are going to staff our shifts extra to deal with what we suspect is going to be some early arrivers to find spots to park and watch this event. So one of the other things that we're doing, and kind of a shameless plug for one of our recent projects, see the officer in the back, John Newcomer. John, can you raise your hand? So John has been tasked with creating a database of all the local businesses, emergency contact information, what you guys have on your premise, like hazardous chemicals, your security measures, if you have a security camera system or an alarm system. And that we're trying to get that accomplished before this event, so we have a lot of that contact information. Once we get that compiled, we're going to be sharing that with the fire department and the Monroe County Central Emergency Dispatch Center. So I don't know if anybody in here is familiar with that project. If you've received a sheet, we have a one-page double-sided sheet that we're handing out and asking people to fill out an online form with that information. So if you're not familiar with that, or you haven't gotten one, would like one, John has some in the back. You're welcome to see him afterwards. It's a pretty easy form. It'll take you probably 5 minutes to fill out. So that's one of the big things that we're doing to prepare ahead of time, is just to kind of get some information for all the businesses. And we would definitely like to hear from some of you that have larger parking areas as to what you're going to do. And I think we're going to touch on that in kind of the next section of the panel talk. But if you have a large parking area, keep us in mind in terms of communication. Just provide us some information as to what you're going to do.
Okay, that's great. All right, Jamie, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing on the county level?
Absolutely. Is everybody able to hear me? Okay, good. Again, I'm kind of like Mike. I've never had people say that they couldn't hear me, but, stranger things have happened. So our end, we've been trying to just have conversations. We started this actually back in July, where we're trying to meet with different agencies and just make sure that they're at least aware and kind of share those, little tidbits of information, like, things that people may not be aware of. We still stumble upon groups from time to time that are not aware that the solar eclipse is even coming. Just last week, we met a person that had a business that was not aware that the solar eclipse was even going to be a thing. So, still trying to get out there and trying to get the word out. We've created flyers for businesses. We've created flyers for healthcare. We recently created a flyer for gas stations, and we partnered with Weights and Measures to distribute that flyer, just to get the conversation started. We always put our information on the bottom so that people can feel free to reach out, so we can have more of an in-depth conversation. We've also, met with our public safety partners, met with our surrounding counties, our healthcare coalition within the district. Just getting people to talk about it for now.
Yeah, that's great. It didn't even occur to me that there might be someone who wouldn't know this is happening, but you should never assume, right?
That's right.
That's the important thing. Okay, Chris, you want to tell us about the fire department?
Can everybody hear me? Okay. The fire department's focused on just the sheer number of people that will be descending upon our area. We are on the path of totality. So that means that we have the longest visible eclipse darkness phase here. And people want to be on that line. So we are a destination point. We're looking at lots of people, 100, maybe 100,000+ people just in Ellettsville alone. So that's going to affect every aspect of emergency services along with business services. So one thing that I would like to get out today is if you guys don't have a business plan for this day, please come up with one and share that with us. Will you have enough staff to handle the influx of people? Will you have enough products? You know, if you're a food establishment, are you going to run out of food? People coming in using restrooms that aren't going to buy anything, that they're just loitering in your parking lot. It's going to happen whether we plan for it or not. So we have to try to come up with ways to not fix it, but get around it. Our response is going to be, we're going to have more staff implemented on the days prior to and, of course, the day of. And I think the hardest part is probably going to be traveling in our own area. How are we going to get from point A to point B when there's an emergency? Southern Illinois University went through this in 2017, I believe it was. There was a 75-mile backup on their interstate. That's just in Southern Illinois. So I can't imagine what I-69 is going to look like. I can't imagine what Highway 46 is going to look like. So it might be a parking lot for a good period of time where you're not going to get in or out. So if, as a business, if you can get your deliveries beforehand or move your delivery dates to after, that will help with, you know, the amount of traffic trying to get places. But the big part is we're working together with the town and the police department to make sure that everyone stays safe, and safety is our number one priority that day.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, as far as IU Health goes, representing IU Health in the South Central region, the biggest focus and preparation will be the main objective is to ensure that everybody who is a patient and their families that need any care, they can get to any hospital in the region. It's not about IU Health, it's about healthcare in general. And we want to make sure everybody can get there. And to do that, we have to be involved with the other various operation centers in the area. That's why I've been with meetings with all these people here on this panel on different various online meetings and a couple of in-person meetings, and a lot of planning taking place to make sure that, you know, we're aware of what's going on so people can travel to get here. It's one of the biggest things we're doing. We're implementing the incident command system. It's a model that we use to manage our businesses during a crisis. We're reviewing and updating all of our emergency plans. It's a good time to do this. How often do you get a chance to plan for a blizzard? You know, you don't. So we are doing that. So usually, you know, we get, 12 hours notice, maybe a couple of days notice that we're going to have impactful weather. We have plenty of notice here. So, and by reviewing all the after action reports, as Chris mentioned, of other agencies, other communities that had something similar to this, we're taking those and see how it would apply here. And so that's kind of where we're going with our plan. So as far as the businesses, what we would like to see is to make sure that everybody's prepared for this and take care of your employees. I know you have a service to offer, and you want to have a positive effect with that, but don't forget to take care of your own employees with food and water, because the main action is going on right now, but we're employees be able to leave at the end of the day? Probably not for a while anyway. So make sure everything's looked at from a higher level than normal. This is a very unusual event. We live in a great place. You know, we're 20, 30 minutes from 3 state parks, state recreation areas, and, you know, everything that Mike promotes. So it's great to be in this area, this great time. So we're hoping that, you know, any impact that have is low to moderate. So that's all we're hoping for anyways, too. But we are preparing for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And last but not least,
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. Kudos to you for holding this event and preparing and planning, and that's the big thing. But I guess first thing I want to say is I want to know, I heard Wee Willie's parking lot is the exact point, I'm serious, the exact point of center of totality. I spoke to Indiana Public Media a couple months ago, and I said, I don't know that for a fact. If you're going to write that, you need to verify it. And then he wrote that it was Jiffy Treat, so I don't know. But I will tell you this, you're right. There will be people coming here days in advance and getting their spot in those parking lots because that's what they think. Who's coming? It's teachers, it's educators, it's science buffs, it's Star Trek freaks, people like that. It's
UFO
families.
freaks, too.
We're going to talk about Star Trek in a minute because that's legit. Hold on a second. Photographers. You talk to photographers. This is a chance of a lifetime for amateur photographers to get the shot of their lives. They will be here. They're coming. I know photographers, I'm hearing from them. They're watching weather patterns from Canada all the way to Texas right now and making contingency plans. So they're making reservations here. They're making reservations in Texas and that sort of stuff. They're going to make their travel plans a few days prior based on where they think the best weather is going to be. That's happening. Here's the thing. He talked about Carbondale, home of Southern Illinois University. Everything he said was correct. In 2017, there were 17 million people that lived in the direct line of totality. This year, there are over 30 million people that live in the direct line of totality. This is going to be the last eclipse for 20-some years. Also, it's April. The last eclipse was in August. The sun is hotter. It's more direct on the earth in April. It is going to be a better viewing. People are coming, I'm telling you. It's hard to say. Are we... He said 100,000. I'm here in Indiana University saying 300 to 500. I don't know. Certainly, it's going to be the impact of multiple football games. We all know what happens even in Ellettsville when Indiana University hosts a football game or graduation and things like that. So tens of thousands of people are coming. It doesn't matter. It's going to feel like there's a million for sure. We're trying to, like I said, we don't need to advertise this. We're just trying to share information so that people have a safe, positive experience that are coming here. They will pull off on the side of the road and sleep in their car. They will do it. We've been wondering. We opened up our website. You can find and Liz is going to have to probably stop me from talking in a second. So I want another chance. But on our website, visitbloomington.com, we created an Eclipse website in 2018. That's how long we've been anticipating this. And so you can go there. There's a tab there. You can find all kinds of information about this. But we have a solar eclipse committee that several people up here are involved in. Kirk White from Indiana University and I created that. And again, we have no authority to do this. We're just trying to share information and help groups like yourself be prepared and everybody be prepared, make plans, things like that. If you're a restaurant, lots of restaurants aren't open on Monday. This is a Monday. This is supposed to be the largest event in Indiana tourism history.
wow.
So again, we're expecting 1 million people to come to central Indiana for sure. How many of them come to Bloomington? Hard to say, but we are located right on an interstate that's going right down the path of totality. So we're certainly expecting all of that. But this committee that we have, again, it's safety and public information and lodging and events and different things like that, trying to share information. So you can find more of that again on our website if you're looking for that stuff. I got a lot of detail I can share with you in a second if you want me to. I'll stop there until the next question. Thank you.
That was great. I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, you know, I'm in marketing, so I'm always thinking about the brand, whether that's the brand of our community, our county, our businesses. And the more that we focus on and plan for safety, that we're taking care of people, it's going to be a better experience, which builds a good, it it builds a good brand for this community, the county, and for the businesses here. And, you know, there's the potential that people will come back if they have a good experience. So it's all connected. So, all right, I'm going to ask each of you now just to, and you all started to do this, but I would like to ask each of you maybe just to focus on one point, and then we'll come back and cover some topics in depth. But what is really one point you want to make to these business leaders about something they should be doing to prepare? Like, what is one key thing that you think that they should be doing? So I just realized we have 3 mics on this panel. So Mike Farmer, would you like to start?
Well, I think the point they need to be focused on is where they're going to be and how long can they stay there safely. I think everybody needs to know where they're going to be that day, and they can't wait until 2 hours before the event. They should know the day before where they're going to be. And I've been told, you know, if you're a local, you probably ought to gas up on a Wednesday and go to local food store and get what you want, and maybe stop by the liquor store. And so for everybody else. But anyway, I think you need to know where you're going to be and not think, oh, I think I'll go over to my kid's house at the last minute. You need to know where you're going to be.
Yeah, that's great. Great point, Mike. Zach, what do you think?
So one of our biggest priorities on that day is going to be making sure we're able to travel. From the police department's perspective, again, we have to maintain the access to the roadways so that our crews can get through, fire can get through, EMS can get through. So with that in mind, as one of the other panelists said, I can't remember if it was Chris or Jamie, but have a plan. If you guys are going to be open, great. Have a plan for how you're going to deal with people that are in your lots, that are trying to get into your business. If you're not going to be open, that's great too, but still have a plan. You still need to be monitoring your property. And the reason I say that is it's going to be hard for us to deal with a lot of calls for service that are not priority. And by that I mean, you know, if you've got somebody on your property that you don't want to be there, if it's not they're brandishing a weapon or they're creating a disturbance, there may be other things that we've got to respond to with our limited resources. So have a plan for how you're going to deal with people like that. And I don't want to get too into the weeds and some of the laws and things like that, but I just want to give you guys kind of a heads up that there has been some recent case law in the state of Indiana that we can no longer, on your behalf, advise somebody to trespass. So what that means for a business is if on the day of you don't want these people in your parking lot, you don't want them in your business, somebody is going to have to be present to advise the people that you don't want there that they can't be there. I, as an officer, can no longer do that because of some case law that happened at the Court of Appeals level. So again, just have that plan, how you're going to deal with the people that are on your property, and if you don't want them there, how you're going to tell them you don't want them there. We will do our best to address issues as they come, but some things like not in progress property crimes, thefts, burglaries, those sort of things, nonviolent crimes like vandalism, trespass, if they don't have some sort of violent element to them, we're probably going to have to pin those just so we can deal with the other issues that are inevitably going to come about.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a really great point. Jamie, what piece of advice would you give our business owners?
I'm going to kind of piggyback onto what Mike number 1 was saying about, planning on where you're going to be that day. Also plan for reduced communications that day. With an influx of people brings an influx of cell phones, which will reduce our cell phone coverage and our internet usage. So things are going to take a whole lot longer to download. So expect your cell phones not to work as well. Expect your internet to be slow. Expect your apps to not work as well. I know last weekend, whenever it was a whopping 2 degrees outside, I was in my house trying to, cruise on Facebook and see what everybody else was doing, probably also inside their houses. And I was getting frustrated because my internet was slow, because everybody else on the planet was also on the internet. So, if you use card readers, they're probably going to be slow and they may not work as well. So be able to take cash, have cash on hand to be able to do cash transactions. That's not easy to say. But yeah.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Chris, what tip do you have for our business owners?
Patience. I guess I made a quick little slideshow here. Take what we're giving you and make a plan, and share that plan with us so we have an idea of what's going to be taking place at your location. I can share this with everybody that's here, but businesses, just think about some of the things. I mean, you guys are the experts in your own business. So make a model that you think will work for you for that specific weekend or day, and try to alleviate some of the things that you could do from lack of planning. That's my biggest thing. So patience and come up with a plan.
Yeah, this is great because, one of my questions, you all keep saying you need a plan, right? You need a emergency management plan, you need a business plan, you need a business continuity plan. And some of the things you've listed here are probably the types of things that would go into that plan, I would assume. So it's a good point. Mr. Corman?
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback what you're saying, but go a little deeper. We talked about being patient. Remember, this is a disaster. It's a planned disaster, but we're not going to have any assistance from the state of Indiana. We're not going to have any assistance from FEMA, federal government. In fact, we were all advised at the state meetings to manage your own municipalities, which in turn means manage your own business. It means don't expect anything. So, people are going to have births that day. People are going to die that day. And now everybody needs to be somewhere right now. They can't get there very fast. So you're going to have to, as Chris said, be patient with this whole process during this time frame. For those of us that will have an adverse event during that time, we can't help it. We'll do the best we can. He said, be patient, and don't expect a lot of things. Take care of yourself. A lot of things can be taken care of well ahead of time. Now, births and deaths cannot, but everything else can. And take care of your employees and their families. Make sure everybody is in tune. Make sure affairs are in order at home. All these things we talk about, make a kit, make a plan, what's the FEMA site, Go Kid, or for the, yeah, I caught you off guard there. Ready.gov. Yeah, that's real. Be prepared for that period of time. Is it going to be a 2-hour period, 12 hours? Will it be all weekend? We don't know for sure, but make sure you take care of yourselves and your families and make arrangements for things, and don't expect a lot. I'm not saying you're on your own, but for a short period of time, you probably will be. So keep that in mind. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have that mind. This is exciting, but it's good to have that mindset. Just get it in your head that you're going to be impacted. Think of it as a disaster. Plan for it like you would a disaster. But the other thing that occurs to me is tell your employees this. I think you can be a great employer by making sure your employees are thinking about these things and that you're giving them advice. So that didn't occur to me until you said that, Mike. So, all right, Mr. Mack.
Yeah, of course, echoing what everyone else said about having that plan and communicating it and taking care of your employees and customers. I think a big thing too is make sure you have an exit plan. That's really where the gridlock happened last time, or with other communities that I keep hearing about. We've been talking to Columbia, Missouri, and Carbondale and those college towns that did this in 2017, and a lot of them said the problem is right when it was over, everybody left town. So if you are having an event or something at your business or whatever it is, maybe have something afterwards where you might be able to get them to stay for a while so everybody doesn't leave at the same time. And again, communicate your plan to your employees and friends and family and all that stuff.
Okay, I'm going to go back on a couple of topics here, and then be ready. We're going to open the floor for questions, so be thinking about, what you didn't get an answer to. But parking stuck out in my mind. I was thinking about that and just imagining haphazard parking all over the place. So I was wondering if we could dig into that a little bit more in terms of what I'm hearing is that's not going to be up to the people that are sitting up here. It's going to be up to those people who own those parking lots, those spaces, to manage that. Is that correct? And how should they be thinking about that? Any tips there?
I think that the businesses ought to think about that point, because for a lot of the businesses, it'd be a great time to go to their business, say it's serving food or Jiffy Treat, let's use that as an example, and park there and eat ice cream until the sun blots out. And that's a great idea, but only a few people are going to be able to do that. So I think the businesses really ought to start advertising a month, maybe even longer ahead of what their plan is for the Eclipse, and let everybody know. And then that way, even if somebody doesn't come in on a regular basis, sooner or later their touch will clue them into what the businesses are thinking. The town hall is going to be closed. We'll probably have, most of I know the Department of Public Works most of us will be in here, police, fire, obviously, everybody. And then but the town hall will be closed, so we'll probably start advertising that we'll be closed to foot traffic. We may have the grounds completely closed, depending on what the fire and police tell me in the near future about how we'll utilize this property. So I think advertising is a good way to say parking here, yes, parking here, no, or designate half of your parking lot for people that want to hang out. There's going to be a lot of people that'll want to rent part of your property. I mean, there's just going to be all kinds. It's going to be like the Oklahoma land rush plus the gold rush of the West. I mean, everybody's going to stake out their claims. So.
You have a thought, Zach? I can tell.
So the police department, we do have some avenues to help with parking issues if those occur, again, on the day of. We know there's going to be parking issues on the day of, and our priority that day has to be keeping the roads open. So I'm not going to say we're not going to be able to help you on the day of, but it's probably going to be delayed service. However, the days leading up to that, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday, if you guys are monitoring your business lots and you have issues, there are some state statutes that allow us to assist you in removing those cars if you don't want them parking there. Of course, one in particular that we can use does require the car to interfere with your business operations, so that would require your business to be open. And again, I don't want to get too into the weeds, but just know that we do have some tools under our belt that can help with the parking issue. But again, just having that plan. And I forgot to mention earlier, we've all been talking about the plan and sharing that plan with the town. The town did set up an email address that Chris and I are answering. Do you have it on the slide? So it's up there on the slideshow. It's Solar Eclipse 2024 at ellettsville.in.us. If you have a plan, you develop a plan, you want us to look at it, we're happy to do that.
That's great.
The police department has some expertise in that area. The fire department has some expertise. We're happy to look at those and maybe give you some guidance, or if you have questions or whatever. That's the main avenue of communication right now that we have for this event from the town's side of things.
We might look at maybe putting together something that shows a parking inventory too. I know there's one business in town that's thinking about housing several hundred, if not thousand people on their property. And so once we nail that down, maybe we can come up with an inventory. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea, because then that might give people options to direct someone somewhere else. So you literally read my mind, Zach, because I was going to ask you if people are working on a parking plan and they want some input, if they could come back to some of the experts on this panel. So it sounds like that email is your best bet as you're developing your plans. If you want some input, these two guys will I'll give you some input. So, Chris, do you have any comments on parking?
If you have a large area and you're going to rent spaces, you might think about having an outside security company help you. And that's the only thing that I
Yep.
could think of is have them there on hand to help you with the parking issues and making sure people are getting in and out appropriately.
Great tip. Mike, did you have a comment? Oh,
To see a open field or a parking area that's heavily guarded or protected, zoned off, it might be an alternative landing zone for a medical helicopter. So we are making plans for various spots to land a helicopter if the one can fly that day. I hope it's going to be a beautiful day to do this. But we have to have a helicopter come in because of we can't get people ambulance transports. That's one of the many things they're working on in the background. So it could be something like that going on also. Just a little peace of mind there.
The Monroe County Airport is expecting it to be the busiest day in their history, or one of them at least. Certainly, if you are, as Mike had talked about, if there is an event that's being planned here in Ellettsville, we don't know about it at this point, and we would love to know and have that on our website, just to share that information with the public again. I can tell you that the Monroe County Fairgrounds, a very smart person rented out the entire fairgrounds in 2018, and she's turning that into a campground and a festival called Shadow Fest. And there'll be music there all weekend long leading into the Eclipse. Lake Lemon is having an event out there where you can camp out there. Paintown at Monroe Lake the same way. Switchyard Park in downtown Bloomington. Wonder Lab in downtown Bloomington is having a street party. Fowler Pumpkin Patch is having camping. Butler Winery is having an event. And again, there's no official one event. We're just gathering this information and trying to share it. And of course, Indiana University. And they haven't announced their plans yet. It's coming right now. But I'll tell you this, Captain Kirk will be here. He will be, and so just imagine, and he will be here. He officially, that's been announced. He'll be here at the IU Cinema on Monday night, appearing in person for a documentary film they're showing about him. But there's stuff going on in Memorial Stadium that day. So you can imagine if Captain Kirk's here, maybe he'll be involved in that in some way. Just wait, those announcements are coming. That's happening. There's plenty of lodging of options available, open still in the area.
Oh, that's good to know.
That stuff is priced, as you can imagine. It's priced at a premium right now. As I said, I think Eclipse goers are frugal, and they're waiting for the deals and for those prices to start dropping, and they will. I mean, right now they're 3-night minimums at $500 a night and things like that. It's craziness. So there's plenty of lodging out there.
okay, great. That's good to know. I'm going to stop here. We've got about a little over 20 minutes left, and I have other thoughts in my mind, but I'd rather see if we have questions from the floor. If you have a question, go for it.
It's more of a comment. One thing I think would be important for businesses to know that if they have a parking lot that houses 100 people and they only have one restroom inside, they might want to think about getting portalets brought in. And if everyone's like stopped in the road and they can't go anywhere and there's hundreds of them.
Can everyone hear that? Okay, so the comment was if you've got a parking lot, where you might be able to have a few hundred people in the parking lot, but you only have one restroom. One thing to think about is potentially looking at porta potties, or you also talked about, and that was in my head, what's going to happen on 46? Is that going to be backed up, and then are people going to be looking for restrooms? So another thing to think about. Val?
This is not a sanctioned holiday, so what's happening with mail, UPS, those little Amazon trucks running around, are any of those services speaking to this and maybe not doing something that day?
So Val's question is just about the normal deliveries that happen in Amazon's at my house almost daily. So Amazon, mail, UPS, what do we know about those companies and organizations? Anything?
I know absolutely nothing. It's so hard to find somebody in those organizations that will tell you anything. So I'll still do some research, and we'll be posting some things on the Ellettsville Facebook page and the Ellettsville website. We'll have an Eclipse, and then I'm going to share stuff with Mike so we can maybe put links to each other's pages and make sure we're sharing the same information, good information. But yeah, if they are trying to deliver in this area, they're going to have a hard time. So if you are, like I said on the business page I had up, if you are expecting deliveries, you might not see those. Like Southern Illinois University, some of the parking lots were still full 12 hours after the event because people couldn't leave. So we're talking about a long period of time that there might not be any movement of vehicles on the roadways. So that's an impact that we've got to try to plan for. But I'll try to find some more information about that.
So one thing I think we can do too as a chamber is maybe gather these resources in one location for all of our members. So when you said website and Facebook, are you talking about the town? Or I know the police department, fire department, and town have separate communication channels, but I'm assuming all three would have the same information.
So we're working with Denise Line. She does the Facebook page for the town and the website. Any information that we share out of Ellettsville, it'll all be the same information.
Perfect. So those are, if you're not following those Facebook pages, make sure that you're doing that. That's probably a good thing. So, yes.
I looked up 2017 just news articles from when it happened in like Kentucky, and the three main concerns were the gas stations ran out of gas, the ATMs ran out of cash, and the cell phone towers didn't work. So do we have any plans to get a hold of our local gas stations? Like if you're not planning for a fill-up, can you do one the weekend before? Or ATMs, can we get the banks to order some extra cash to get those filled up? Or I know when we went to the Science Festival, they ordered some temporary cell phone towers for service for credit card vendors. Is there anything that we can do working with maybe Smithville or something to increase our service area here just for that influx?
That's a great point. So in case you couldn't hear, you did a little research from 2017, and the three key issues were gas. The gas stations ran out of gas, ATMs ran out of money, and that the cell phone towers got overloaded. So are those things we're thinking about? Could we think about?
I can tell you that. We have representatives that can deal with that stuff on our overall committee, and those things are being looked at.
Great.
So I do feel they'll be addressed.
So that would be probably something that would be, as you get solutions, being able to come back and communicate that back to the community, I think would be a really positive thing.
And for the gas stations, that was part of the flyers that we've made that we're having distributed through our weights and measures person also. Trying to encourage them to fill up their tanks that Friday at least, at the latest, that Friday before.
And we confirmed with at least one station so far here in Ellettsville that they will be doing that fill up prior to the event. But that's on our list of things to
Okay.
communicate and see, maybe suggest that they do that prior to.
Okay. Mike.
We're in the process of creating an Eclipse area map that will have places to watch and different things. Traffic, we don't even know traffic patterns yet, if the state police are going to do any closings, things like that. Once we know all that, we'll have this on a map.
Great.
On the other side of this map will be important safety information like that, about where you can find things like that. So that'll all be digital. We'll make sure you have that and
Okay,
links
great.
to all that. And Ellettsville information will all be on there. That'll probably be ready, and we'll start distributing that in early March, at least a month out. We're going
Okay.
to make that, we'll have printed versions of that all over the place for visitors and people.
So is that the webpage, the Solar Eclipse webpage that you have, is it sort of the central repository, or is it just you guys are creating information and dispersing it through various
Again,
channels?
it's sitting on visitbloomington.com, but there's no official authority
Okay.
about this at all. We're just trying to be helpful.
Okay.
Now, on Eclipse Day, there will be a unified message. We're doing what we call a joint information center.
Okay.
Where everybody will be collaborating on the messages that go out, and so everybody will be putting out the same message.
Okay, great.
Commerce and then sharing those via email through the chamber.
So we'll make sure as a board that you all as members have, that we're clearly communicating to you where to go to get this information. So that is something that we will certainly do. So, yes?
I know we touched on porta potties a little bit, but there wasn't any response back. So is the town going to provide some, or are businesses expected to provide some, or is it just up in the air?
The question is porta potties. Who wants to take it?
Well, I made a note, so we'll go from there. I mean, I would suspect that a lot of porta potties have already been spoken for. So we'll look into that sooner than later, and we'll go back to that. It's going to be a really big problem. I mean, as you can guess.
Yeah, if you're in the business of porta potties, you might be making a lot of money in the next few weeks. Yes.
Has there been any discussions about possibly rerouting traffic or changing the traffic pattern, for instance, on 46 through Ellettsville?
So we've discussed that with public safety, but there's no outside resources. So like I know during game day, for instance, you know, they changed the traffic patterns around the university to allow for the traffic to move smoother. But they take, well, you know, albeit not ideally, but it does move a little smoother. But whenever they do that, they pull from ISP and they pull from outside police officers that moonlight. Those resources are not going to be available. So we don't really have the bandwidth within public safety to be able to achieve that. So that was taken off of the table.
One more thing too is the fact that the area totality, it's not going to be just the state highway. You know, Whitehall, Indiana is primarily in Owen County. It also reaches into the community in Monroe County and Greene County. It's also going to be a great spot. And so all the areas, the county roads, are going to be just as crowded as there as well. So I think we can direct traffic somewhere else, but what for? Because it's going to be the same problem where we go.
I think everybody needs to remember, it's not just a one-day event. It happens to be on a Monday. It's a national holiday around here. I mean, everybody's going to think of it as a Friday, Saturday, you know, Monday. I mean, it's going to be quite the event, and everybody will want to party early and often and make it run right through. After the sun comes back out, it'll be over, and then nobody will be able to go anywhere. So it's going to be a 3-day event at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. William?
One thing I would suggest, if you are in a shopping center with a landlord, contact them about porta potties. Because like Richland Plaza, Smith Pike Plaza, places, a lot of those places, like our store, we don't have public restrooms, but you know you're gonna get hammered for the use of those public restrooms. And I think that would be something that the landlords need to provide for and see what their plans are too.
Great point. Could everybody hear William? Okay. You're in a good spot, William. Everybody can hear you. Yes.
My name is Darren Lavin. I'm the owner of Master Rental. Had the business plan. We were going into the portable restroom business in July for a very large client that I have. I'm moving that up a little bit. So I will be in the portable restroom business by the time this comes around. So I
See?
share my information.
Opportunity. Master rental.
If you need tents, chairs, dunk tanks.
Dunk tank.
Give me a call.
Mike Farmer's.
I intend on talking with you. All right.
Mike Farmer's in line first, it sounds like. Yes.
I know we're talking about the middle and the beginning, but we've got to talk about the after too, because people are sloppy.
So cleanup. Something to consider and think about as business owners, that you're going to have some cleanup too and some after effect. Yeah. Any comment from the panel on that?
If we don't get porta pots, it's not going to be just trash.
I'm not going to touch that one. Any other comments? Let's see. Yes.
That in mind, it's not only porta pots that we might want to think in advance about, but dumpsters,
Yes.
not just little teeny tiny trash cans, but
So-
some of the small roll-offs.
Trash receptacles, yeah.
Put that down on the list. It's a
Great.
good idea.
Great. Mr. Sanders, Dr. Sanders.
Just while I have right now, Edgewood schools will not be in session on April 8th. In fact, we are closing our campus, or we're going to do the best of our ability to close our campus so that nobody is in the school yards, and we have to worry about that for Tuesday, so the school.
Yeah, it brings up a good point. It'll be April. The ground will be soft by then. If we have a rain event before that, then all the ground off the hard pavement will be suspect. And so, we're going to have some wreckers available, but being able to get to you may not happen for 10 or 12 hours. So if you get stuck, you may just be stuck. And so people that own property that have flat, clear ground, like say the town hall, need to think about, do I really want cars all over my yard and
Yeah.
being stuck there? So we're thinking about that too, but it's bound to be, well, it could be dry, but it's more than likely it'll be a wet environment.
Yeah. Weather, we cannot control the weather. Big question mark, for sure.
We tried.
Any final, have you exhausted all your questions and thoughts and ideas? I think this has been a really valuable conversation. So I'm really glad that we came together as a community. Gary?
So I got two questions. First, you got that the Eclipse starts at 150, totalities at 304, is the end like at 420? And then you have an end date on your page, in time.
I don't know if there's really an ending to it. Once the shadow of the moon is gone, then that's just it. So there's not really nobody's giving me any like hard-coded information about an actual end time.
All right. Second question. Who's available to come and speak with, like, my executives today?
I don't want to speak for everybody up here, but I'm sure any of us would like to come talk. So, yeah, Zach, myself or Zach, I'm sure would make ourselves available.
So I don't know if you could hear Gary, but his question was, would any of our panel be willing to come and speak with his team at People's State Bank and help them think about what's going to happen? And so I'm hearing very much a willingness to provide input and also use that email address if you do write some things down to get input on. It sounds like we've got a group of experts who are willing to help.
I'd like to take the time too, just to say, this is opening the door for just better communication all the time. So once we have a meeting, you guys will know me, I'll know you, and it just
Great
kind of
point.
lets us flow a little better when we do have to meet.
That's a great point. And I think that's one of my big thoughts for today is that we're a small community. We have limited resources, and we have to come together in situations to support each other, to plan, to share ideas and best practices. So, if it makes sense to get together again, once you've had some time to think about this, the chamber can absolutely host a follow-up. If you have thoughts on that, send Jill your thoughts on that, but we would be happy to get everybody back together again. We had some questions today that could be answered. So maybe we have a follow-up if you're all interested in that. Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to our esteemed panel. We really appreciate all the work that you're doing to help prepare our community for this and the way that you're thinking about the safety of our community. So thank you very much for your hard work. Much appreciated. And just want to say thank you to all of you for making it out today. And the chamber will continue to share information with you. Thank you so much. Oh, you want me to say something? Also, Liz, just one more thing I forgot. Liz has some Duke Energy. Solar Eclipse glasses if you're interested, so let her know.